Greetings. This video we're going to continue. We are going to start on our new topic, which we are going to look on, that is business documents. And previously we've been looking at insurance, and we concluded with that. So in this video we're going to look at business documents, and this is the introductory video to that. The next video will be looking at a particular document. So now, to start with, we don't need a definition of what a business document is, obviously, because no one would need that in their application or in their writing of documents or business letters. But what we're going to look at mainly are the qualities of a good letter, or the qualities of a business letter, and then the other one is the format or the structure of a business letter, and that's what we shall measure on, mainly the format of a business letter. So now, when you look at the qualities of a good letter or a good business letter, the hallmark of a business letter is that its objective is understood by the reader. For like the objective of the business letter being understood by the person who is reading is the main issue. So you need to keep in mind that your letter is a business letter, so your tone and your style should be business-like. You can be friendly, but still in a business-like manner. And then you should also, as you're writing your letter, you write it as if you're sitting on a conference table, like you're in a conference. You don't write as if you're writing. You put it in a way that you write it as if you're in a conference, and then you try to imitate your voice on paper, like you imitate your normal voice as you're writing. Imitating your voice would simply mean as you speak, you don't speak continuously without pausing. You pause at intervals. So even your writing should reflect the pauses using the punctuation marks, like commas, question marks, and so on and so forth. So your writing should imitate your normal way of talking by use of punctuation marks. And then the other thing you need to be careful about is the use of personal pronouns. You should check the sentence structure, that is, after writing your letter or as you write it, you should check the sentence structure. You should check the grammar, spelling, and then the punctuations to see that your letter makes proper meaning, or the meaning that you intend to communicate to your reader. So when you look at the qualities of a good letter, these qualities are classified into inner qualities and outer qualities. Now the letter should serve the purpose for which it is written. If a businessman writes a letter to the supplier to purchase certain things, there are things that should be contained in that letter. For example, that letter should contain relevant information about the products or the product, like the mode of payment, the mode of delivery, the quantity, and so on and so forth. So meaning, for that letter to be effective, what is intended by that letter should be communicated and understood by the purpose of that letter should be served in that the person should understand the full details of what the letter is communicating. So looking at the qualities of the letter, it is these qualities that actually will help you to see that your message is well communicated in the letter. Now, when you look at the inner qualities of a letter, to start with, the inner qualities of a letter, these simply refer to the quality of the language used in the letter and the presentation. Like the quality of the language used and the presentation, like the quality of the language used in writing that letter, the observation of, like you should try to see that you use proper English. You should avoid use of slangs You should avoid use of short forms, use of we can call them like words that would need someone to use a dictionary to identify what to tell what the word means. So you should avoid using hard I can say hard words, but not that is just a term just because I've lost of the term I would use. That's why I'm using that. But words that are hard, in that someone will need to first use a dictionary to understand what it means, you should avoid such words. Instead, you use a simpler word. Because if someone is you send it to someone's office such a letter, they are busy, they don't have time to go to the dictionary to check just because they need to read, just because they have to read your letter. So you should use simpler terms and avoid hard terms. So then you should also look at the punctuation. You should look at the sentences, are they rightly grammatically correct? So all that deals with the use of the language in the letter is what we call the inner qualities of the letter. And then when we come to examples of inner qualities of the letter, there is simplicity. That is, you use the simplest terms of the language which you're using to write. Then clarity, you should make sure that what you're writing is clear. There is nothing like you're clear in your writing. And then the other one is accuracy. You should be accurate. You should use right words for the right intended meaning. And then completeness of the communication. As you're writing a letter, you should make sure that all you intend to communicate is communicated, meaning you should complete the message. For example, if someone was writing a business letter, and let's say they are placing an order, but then they miss out, let's on the place of delivery, then there it is not complete. Now where will the goods be delivered? So meaning when you talk about completeness, it means that all that has to be in that letter should be there. So that is the completeness. And then the relevancy, like the relevance, you should not include things that are not relevant or that are irrelevant, and you should not skip out things that are relevant. So you should make sure that what you put there is really relevant. And then the other thing would be courtesy and neat. So these are the inner qualities. It should be neat. You should be polite. Courtesy means politeness. As you're writing, you should be polite. So those are some of the inner qualities of the letter. And now when we go to the outer qualities of the letter, these are normal things. Like the outer qualities of the letter simply refer to the appearance of the letter, like how your letter looks like, the external appearance, like what kind of paper have you used, what kind of ink have you used, is your like what quality of paper. And then the other thing would be the presentation of your letter. Sometimes if you're sending a letter to office, of course you can't send it in actually the whole thing about the external appearance is what reflects what you really are as a person. Because if you send something that is disorganized, dirty, obviously that implies you've lost it all without even someone having to read your letter. So external appearance matters as well. So then that comes to all that, and therefore a good letter with all the outer qualifications gives a favorable impression in the mind of the reader or the person that is to receive that letter. So then some of the examples of business letters we have, there is a letter of reply, letter of order, letter of acknowledgement, letter of having instruction, letter of advertisement, letter of claim, letter of adjustment, sales application, and so on and so forth. And then you shall be looking at some of these letters as we go on.